Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there, feeling well. It's Monday. I know certainly this day of the week kicks a lot of people's butts, but certainly hope you guys are waking up and having a fantastic start to your week and feeling great regardless of the day of the week. I got some weather to talk about this morning. Active severe weather set up for areas of the Southern Apps, the Mid-Atlantic areas of even the Ohio Valley, maybe even portions of kind of like the upper southeast region, like maybe North Carolina, places like that. We got that to talk about. Another Monday of severe weather. This is not going to even come close to comparing to what we saw last Monday, but here it is, another Monday with severe weather. So we'll break that down. We'll talk about the heat. We'll talk about how there's dry air filtering in behind the system that is causing all this severe weather and has been over the last couple days. We'll even give you an update on the tropics. And since we are starting to get deeper into hurricane season, we are going to give you an update on the tropics almost every single morning, unless it's just dead quiet out there. But what we're going to do is we're going to throw that at the very end of the video. So if you really want an update on the tropics every single day, first off, I'll probably, when it gets very active, I'll start to get detailed every single evening with you guys. But as far as the morning videos, I will do a segment at the end of the video, and there will be a tab for that about 5 to 10 minutes after I drop the video. Like there always is tabs for everything around that period. And we'll talk about some things and just give you the real, the surface information. As far as detailed information, stay tuned with the evening videos and I will get much more detail on that. I'm expecting the tropics to become a much bigger topic this week. So with that being said, you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. I'm up to 37 members, 3 more till I hit that 40 threshold, that goal by the end of summer. Thank you all for choosing to support me in that way. It helps me monthly, and I really appreciate people who have done that or even considered doing it. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. Guys, the growth has been amazing this summer, and I just always want to say how much I appreciate that. We're getting very close to that 50K mark. It's just been a wonderful summer as far as growth, so I really appreciate y'all and just adding to the family and the family type atmosphere we have here. So let's take a look at the water vapor loop. As we always do, this is working, so we're already on a good track here. You see this spin? This is a surface low right here in this region somewhere. This is spinning around. This might give or take 100 miles, but this is our upper trough. You see this thing digging down like this. This is what is creating, helping to aid in all the ingredients for all this shower and storm activity in this white area that you see right here, which is causing some flooding issues in areas of southern Missouri. It's been causing storms all night, continues to cause storms this morning. This piece of energy, and let's get this circle out of the way, this piece of energy will continue to move this way in general. And as it does, this is going to help aid in severe weather across this area of the country today. In general, you can probably make this line go a little bit further south. We even could get some severe weather in Georgia and South Carolina today. Some models differ, and we'll talk about that in this video. But as it does, this will bring in all the ingredients that are right for severe weather into this region. Now behind this air mass, as you can tell, this area right here on the screen is a little bit more doled out. It's a little bit darker. That indicates dry air on the water vapor loop here. So there is a gradient of drier air against more moist air, and this is actually going to dig south. So, you know, this is going to make it all the way down to Oklahoma, to Texas, Arkansas certainly. And some dry air is going to filter into all these regions that are experiencing a lot of rain this morning. Now, this isn't that crazy cold first fall cold front that we look for actively when we start to get to the end of August and September, but this is you're going to feel a difference with this. The Dallas-Fort Worth area, Little Rock, Oklahoma tomorrow, places like that, even Memphis, and we'll talk about it. And when we get to that area of the country, you're going to feel a difference when you wake up tomorrow morning. So that's a little bit of something to look forward to. But we definitely got some severe weather to deal with today again. So let's get rolling. We'll take a look at what's going on what's actually falling from the sky on radar. We'll take a look at our surface low associated with this upper trough first. And you see there's a little bit of spinach out here. A little bit of spin going on with this rain and shower and storm activity. This is moving in from this way. This is moving up from that way. And that is our surface low. So we're dealing with a really soggy morning across most of the state of Wisconsin, even a little bit of shower activity in the UP and Michigan. And we just have basically a little flow out the north in general that's moving over portions of southwest Minnesota, places like that, and areas of eastern South Dakota. So, you know, it was wild yesterday. We had a confirmed pretty large tornado in southern Minnesota. I mentioned that in, you know, yesterday morning's video that I thought we could have a few storms to watch out for that could produce a tornado associated with this surface low, and they did produce. So I hope it didn't cause too much damage, but I believe there was a tornado reported in southern areas of Minnesota yesterday. You guys correct me if I'm wrong there, but some showers are making their way towards into northern Illinois too, and then you go further south into the more moist, unstable atmosphere, and you've been dealing with a lot of rain all night in southern Missouri. I'm sorry, guys, getting the hair out my eyes. My hair is very long right now. I got to find time to get a haircut. That's why I'm wearing the hat backwards. I never wear a hat forward. I look like I'm 19 when I wear it forward, and I just look very odd. I always wore a hat backwards. So if I look like just a punk kid in this video, trust me, I'm not. For you folks who've been tuning in, it's just the way I wear my hats. But a lot of rain falling in areas of southern Missouri, even northeast Arkansas, through the Boot Hill. You even got some storm action. You even got an area of storms chugging through western areas in Kentucky. I think this prompted a tornado warning about an hour or two ago. Heavy rain, moderate to heavy rain falling in the Evansville area of Indiana. Area storms moving through western Tennessee. So there is some activity ongoing. This will continue to make its way east and then kind of more northeastward. And we'll see if this holds together. Most model guidance has this weakening and then more additional storms forming kind of behind this. But we'll see if this holds together, because if it does, then it will play a role in what happens later on across the southern Alps region. We'll talk about the Storm Prediction Center. There is a slight risk that you see on your screen. This extends almost to Nashville, all the way to the Delmarva region, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Richmond, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Roanoke, Charlottesville, Charleston, Morgantown, pretty much all of southern and southeast Ohio, the eastern hills of Kentucky, and all the way down to the Cumberland Plateau into the Tennessee region. So level 2 out of 5. Marginal risk extends all the way into the Midlands of South Carolina. Definitely Carolinas is a weird area today, and we'll talk about that in this video. Man, models are just everywhere with the Carolinas. We'll have to see what happens. Tornado threat. You have a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles of any given location in the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area, and Philadelphia, and everybody in between right in this region, Harrisburg, PA. You guys have a little bit more elevated of a risk of a tornado today, a 5% risk. And then a 2% risk extends across a pretty large area. And I wouldn't be surprised later this afternoon we get a couple tornado warnings in a state like Indiana. We'll talk about that too in this video. Wind threat, just your standard 15% risk you normally get with a slight risk. 15% risk with winds exceeding 50 knots or higher. That's 55 to 60 miles per hour. You got to watch out for some wind. And hail, not really a big threat anywhere today. Below a 15%, just a 5% risk. So excessive rainfall outlook. You got a slight risk in both of these areas, which stands for at least a 15% risk of flash flood guidance being met. We'll watch for some heavy rain that very slowly makes its way across the southern Great Lakes region into southern Michigan. This will just pretty much give you a very soggy day across this area of the country. We'll talk about that. And then just general summer storms that could repeatedly go over some of the same areas could cause some flash flooding in the slight risk area. So we'll definitely watch out for that. And we'll talk about what the National Weather Service is talking about as far as rainfall totals in all these areas. We're going to get some record-breaking heat potentially building into the northwest. You got excessive heat warnings, heat advisories. It's going to get very hot up in like Oregon and Washington State today, Northern California, and just hot where it's continued to be hot. Looks like the heat is beginning to break for sure, though, in areas of Arkansas, Oklahoma. Definitely no heat advisories or excessive heat warnings in the state of Oklahoma today, where it looks like a cold front is going to come in and really stabilize and cool down the atmosphere. Heat advisories, though, extend all the way into South Carolina, eastern North Carolina, all the way into southeast VA. Very warm and uncomfortable in Florida today. And anywhere you see the purple, excessive heat warnings, just air temperatures in the upper 90s, low 100s. the heat indices, which is what it feels like, your heat index when you walk outside, 110, 115 degrees. Somebody might hit 120. So just brutally hot temperatures up here. Flood watches up for areas that are seeing a lot of rain. Flood watches up for Chicago, up to Milwaukee, Janesville, places like that. So let's talk about the southeast first. We always take that broad look at things first. And we just watch as this convection continues to just kind of fizzle out. We'll see if that actually is the case. We will get your typical kind of tropical downpours down here in Florida. Really anybody in Florida could see it today. Just that just isolated pop-ups later in the afternoon in the Panhandle too. You'll be begging for it too, because I mean it's going to get so hot so fast today in Florida that you're going to be really wanting those downpours to verify in your neck of the woods. But we're definitely going to get them. But just typical summer kind of stuff. And then really we'll watch for this area of storms right into here. I would say it really gets going in eastern Kentucky, eastern Tennessee. And then what does it do? I think this front begins to really, it's not really the front's way back here, but kind of the boundary of storms and no storms is right in here. And this really begins to kind of slow down. So that's why we got a little bit of a flooding issue in some of these areas today. So it begins to really slow down. And yeah, we just got to see what happens. Some models differ on what's going to happen in these regions. So let's go and tunnel in on these regions. We'll just, this is what you call the Southern Apps, a tab on Weather Bell, and covers a lot of states. So we'll break down all the areas that could be impacted in this geographical portion of the video right here. Let's take a look at the HRRR first. As we are making our way in the morning hours, like I said, the convection begins to kind of fizzle out. And we'll talk about Ohio here in a second. We got a separate little panel for that. But we're going to be dealing with those showers and storms in West Virginia throughout the morning, early afternoon hours. But it's what happens behind this. Here goes. Some storms begin to form kind of up near the Bowling Green area, the Nashville region. They cruise eastward, start to affect the eastern hills of Kentucky, of eastern Kentucky, throughout the late afternoon, evening time frame. I think we could get a risk for damaging winds, even an isolated tornado. Hail is possible, but not a really big threat today. They start across the Cumberland Plateau. Also, and I will note, these storms could extend a lot further southwest too. I know you're not seeing much, but they very well could. Storms blasting across the entire state of West Virginia throughout the late afternoon, evening time frame. And then they kind of just start to slow down really down here, especially start to get more of a parallel flow. And these storms just kind of start going over some of the same areas. I would really watch out if you live in the Cumberland Plateau, down to Knoxville, up to Johnson City. You guys could have a risk of flooding as we get late into the evening, into the overnight hours. Some storms finally reach the Southern Apps region, mountains of Tennessee, North Carolina, as we are getting in the middle of the night. At this point, it's about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning. And the HRRR model is kind of odd, but it could be on to something. So if it is, I would say, it gets pretty dicey in eastern Kentucky, central and eastern Tennessee later this afternoon to this evening. And then most of the action kind of just stays in the North Carolina, especially the Tennessee side of the mountains. And we could have a trailing area of showers and storms that extend all the way back into kind of southern Tennessee, extreme northern Alabama, maybe even northern Mississippi. So we'll watch that. Now, you look at the NAM. What does the NAM show for this region? Same deal. Has all this shower and storm activity heading off to the northeast, kind of fizzling out. And then you got some storms popping off here in North Carolina, northern North Carolina. This is around 3 or 4 p.m. Some storms firing off near the Boone area, down here near Asheville. Then you got an area of organized storms making its way into the foothills of North Carolina. The HRRR model does not show anything for this time frame. Okay, you got to watch out Hickory, Greensboro, Winston-Salem area, down to Shelby. And it really doesn't develop a line of storms into eastern Tennessee, maybe eastern Kentucky, until like 8 or 9 p.m. So the models are everywhere. And then what's really going to throw you off for a loop is when I show you the FV3 model. I mean, it's really everywhere. But most models do agree that we're going to have some kind of line of storms make their way through eastern Tennessee, maybe western areas of Virginia sometime this evening. And they will try to cross the Southern Apps, but the storm flow will begin to really slow as basically that orientation of where the actual lift is that's driving these storms really is pretty far north. So you don't have much of a west to east flow moving through the southern Alps region, if that makes any sense. But we definitely are getting some storms right over the mountains of Tennessee. You know, I would watch out around Gatlinburg, points south and southwest. We definitely got some storms flowing over this area. And, you know, the National Weather Service does note this area getting a lot of rain. And it's never good when you're getting a lot of rain over higher elevations. So it's something we need to watch out for. And then we're waking up to still just showers and storms over this same area, northern Alabama, the mountains of Tennessee, places like that. So, you know, you look at the FV3 model, though, okay, it wants to kind of keep this area of storms that we're dealing with this morning in western Kentucky, western Tennessee, and kind of remaining intact, bring some shower and storm activity across eastern Tennessee, eastern Kentucky later on today, western areas of Virginia. But look what the FV3 model does. By the time you get to about 2 or 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon, you got some big storms right over the mountains of North Carolina, the Piedmont Triad of North Carolina, upstate South Carolina. And look at this. Totally different scenario. 6, 7, 8 o'clock tonight. You got big storms over central South Carolina, central and kind of the Sandhills, Fayetteville region of North Carolina, back towards Augusta, Athens, back towards Atlanta, even storms all the way down here in Montgomery, all the way to the Gulf Coast. So the FV3 model throws everything for a loop. Okay, so it's really tricky today. And I mean, it shows some big storms. Freaking lightning show down here in South Carolina and you know, Georgia shows some big storms. And I would say if this was to happen, some of these storms could be quite powerful down here, just because we have so much instability, so much heat and humidity today building down here in Georgia and the Carolinas. That's why they extend the marginal risk all the way down to here. It'll be interesting to see if the FV3 model is on to something down here in Georgia and South Carolina today. But as far as a wind threat, we'll just look at the HRRR model, and it really indicates, it really likes a line of storms into sort of this region today. That could produce some brief gusts up to 30, 40, 50 miles per hour. We'll certainly watch out for that. And we'll keep this going. Let's get this off the screen. And then it shows maybe another area later on. But it's going to be a tough forecast in this area today with the storm evolution. The NAM, the HRRR model, and the FV3 model especially definitely disagree. But we're going to, I think it's some pretty solid confidence that we could get a lot of rain in, like maybe down to Chattanooga, definitely the Knoxville, Johnson City region. Everybody into here, you could definitely get a lot of rain. Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, I mean, maybe an inch or two of rain over the next 24 hours is certainly possible. Right up against these the Tennessee side of the mountains, so definitely be aware of this. But temperatures really quick for the deep south, upper 90s, low 100s. Shreveport, another brutally hot day. Monroe, Lake Charles, I think it's Lake Charles, yeah. Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Jackson, just awful hot temperatures, just terrible temperatures. I'll even say, I'm sorry if you're a summer fan and you somehow enjoy this. This is awful. This is just we just got to get rid of this. But just a brutally hot day. We go down. Let's go on and just go to North and South Carolina. Very hot day. Somebody's going to hit 100 degrees in the Carolinas and Georgia today. You mix that with the heat indices, and I mean, it's just going to be very hot. And I didn't show this for the last one, but man, look at this. Look at the heat index today for our folks in Georgia and the Carolinas. I mean, Atlanta could hit a heat index of 110. Columbia, same thing. Over Fayetteville, brutally hot temperatures. We go down to Florida, the heat index in Florida. Oh, my word, just brutally hot. No wonder why the Gulf of Mexico, the Florida Keys, the water temperatures are just boiling. You just got rocket fuel in the Gulf of Mexico. That's why we don't want any tropical activity into the Gulf of Mexico. But just brutally hot conditions for the deep south. The Northeast, and we're going to cover the Mid-Atlantic and Ohio and this and West Virginia in this frame. So don't think I'm skipping you guys. I got you covered. But just in general, we'll watch this moisture ride over Ohio. You're going to be dealing with some rain late morning throughout the early afternoon. This will kind of move and chug into western and central areas of Pennsylvania. We'll make it all the way into the southern tier of New York State as we get into late evening. But up under this, all this shield of rain, the atmosphere will try to recover, and it'll heat up, and then we'll get some storm action in Ohio, West Virginia. Obviously, we talked about Kentucky already. And these storms will try to chug into the mid-Atlantic regions, the Delmarva region, a little bit later today, into the later part of this period. But I think we're going to deal with a big old shield of rain into areas of New York State that will take over the state basically from southwest to northeast. And I think we could have some late night rumbles of thunder across the New York City area, the southern New England region. And I think we'll wake up to a very soggy morning, very, very soggy. And there could be a little bit of a tornado risk in extreme southern New England for our Tuesday morning. So we got to watch out for this. But zooming in on all these individual regions, and that's not what I want to look at. Oh, man. Looks like we're going to have to do something on the fly here. Let's go and look at our, hey, hadn't messed up like this in a while. Here we go. Let's look at the latest HRRR model for the Mid-Atlantic and what this looks like for today. So this morning, waking up to some pretty chill conditions, nothing real crazy going on. But as we move into about midday, see some showers and storms starting to creep into West Virginia. These could produce some severe weather, but the latest HRRR model says, hey, it's not going to be too bad, but we'll see what happens. And then later on this evening, 9-10 p.m., it shows some intense storms crossing over West Virginia to western Maryland, and these could produce some damaging winds, even a tornado risk, and we got to watch out for this. But the HRRR model says, hey, you know, for the Mid-Atlantic, the Delmarva region, Maryland, you know, Virginia, southern New Jersey, it says, hey, all this activity ain't going to really come in until later tonight. So you might go to bed thinking, wow, that was a dud of a severe weather day, but then it gets kind of rocky tonight. So, you know, show some storms riding into the eastern panhandle of West Virginia, into northern VA, and it shows some storms affecting Maryland, New Jersey, southeast Pennsylvania later tonight, 1 to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So it's kind of weird. Now you look at the NAM. Let's go on and back this up and look what the NAM shows for today. The NAM shows some storms riding into Virginia as early afternoon. See some storms down here, and you're going to have some intense heating up into Virginia today. So I would argue these are going to be working with a pretty unstable atmosphere, which means they could be quite intense. And then the NAM rolls these storms right on through eastern Virginia, Maryland, into the Delmarva area, right in that prime heating of the day, 4, 5, 6 p.m. So I would argue the HRRR model is just not handling today very well, but it could be on to something. You just never know. But I would argue that the NAM is on to something here. Brings some pretty intense storms through the Delmarva region, even some storms in eastern North Carolina. And these have the capability of producing a tornado. There's that 5% risk. And then we get into this evening, and it does show the potential for another area of kind of storms maybe working in. But it's everywhere, guys. It really is. For example, southeast Pennsylvania is a weird area where you're really close to that shield of rain earlier in the time period. But I really think that in this area right here near Harrisburg, you can get some severe weather sometime this afternoon or this evening. But the timing is really everywhere, guys. It's a tough forecast. As far as rainfall with this, the National Weather Service is saying right over Washington, D.C., through Baltimore, up to Philadelphia, through New Jersey. You guys could certainly see an inch and a half of rain. And if you look at the updraft helicity swath, if we were to look at the NAM, let's look at the NAM with the updraft helicity swath, because the NAM is definitely showing more activity. And it does show some highlighted areas down the Delmarva region with some spin showing up with some of these updrafts. Some of these storms have the capability of rotating. So we'll definitely watch this. But I can tell you the updraft helicity swath is not super alarming, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But, you know, I'd watch West Virginia, Maryland for sure a little bit later on today, and that's probably my time frame I was wanting to look at right there, but I never had a chance to. But Ohio today, big area of rain with some embedded lightning and thunder, maybe some gusty winds, takes over the entire state. from the southwest to the northeast, and basically it'll start raining. It probably will be already raining by the time I start this video for a lot of these areas, but definitely a rainy day in Dayton, Columbus, Cincinnati, getting all the way up to Cleveland by this afternoon. Well, it'll rain most of your late afternoon to your evening. And then up under this shield of rain, this is when we have to watch for some storms. Watch out for this storm right here in eastern Indiana. Watch out for this cluster of storms right here in southeast Ohio. Gusty winds, a tornado threat. You see these storms popping off down here in Kentucky. And yeah, this atmosphere will be primed right in here for some severe weather. This is getting into 8, 9, 10 p.m. You got some storms cruising across western areas of Ohio into the central part of the states. These could pack a punch. We certainly need to be aware of this. And these continue to chug off to the east. And by the time we get into late tonight, we'll be dealing with just the rain from that surface low up here in Michigan. And this could drift into the northwest section of Ohio, where we could get a lot of rain up here. So it'll be interesting to see how quick this morning shower and storm activity clears through for Ohio. But immediately behind this, with the surface low approaching, I'd watch out for these storms. And we'll talk about Indiana and Illinois here in a second a little bit more. But I'd watch out for these storms in Ohio today also, especially the further west you work. These could be working with a more favorable climatic environment. It's just the fact, are we going to become unstable enough thermodynamic energy for these to really produce in Ohio and Indiana? It'll be interesting, but I'm telling you, storms really get going around mid-afternoon, especially in southern Ohio, and you definitely need to watch out for these. I'd be careful tomorrow morning in southern New England too. Could be waking up into late tonight. Could have some activity that could produce a tornado. The south central U.S., it'll be dry. I know you guys need the rain, but you get into this afternoon, not a whole lot going on. Some showers could drift into northern Missouri. You guys definitely get a lot of rain action, especially in western New Mexico. Outside of that, guys, some storms are possible late night along this boundary, separating moist and dry air. Could be waking up to some storm action, maybe just some shower and downpour action in northern areas of Louisiana, where you certainly need the rain, but not a whole lot going on. The good news was that with this is dry air is moving in from the north. So we're actually waking up with very comfortable conditions in the high plains and northern plains this morning. Now what you're looking at is not temperatures, so don't get that excited, but these are dew points. This shows us where the dry air mass is and the very humid air mass. As you can tell, this is based off the GFS, dew points in the 60s and 70s, and just deep into the 70s into Texas, and just humid air. But as we move into about midday, look how this area of dew points in the 50s and 40s surge south and southeast. This is really just drying out the atmosphere, and then by the time we make it into this evening, look at this dry air knocking on the doorstep of the Dallas-Fort Worth, Little Rock area, getting close to the Memphis region. And then by the time we just wake up tomorrow morning, 24 hours from now, we got this cold front making it all the way down to the deep in Texas. I mean, Austin, San Antonio. And this is, a little bit further south than maybe what we originally thought was going to go. But you're waking up to dew points based off the GFS and around the 50s, maybe upper 40s in areas in North Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth. Now, this isn't going to make your temperature drop all the way down to the upper 50s, no. But you're going to wake up tomorrow morning in Northeast Texas, Northern Texas, Arkansas. You're going to wake up to, you might wake up to that 70, 72 degrees, which isn't very low at all, but it'll feel like a totally different 70 to 72 degree temperature than it would if it was extremely humid. So let me know how that actually verifies tomorrow for you. I'm excited for you guys. This cold front ain't going to make it all the way to my neck of the woods. Looks like it'll stall out somewhere in Tennessee. But I'm really excited for you folks. I hope you can get some rain soon. But this will choke out this heat for about a day or two. But, I mean, take it how you can get it. But definitely a less humid day for tomorrow. So we'll talk about that again tomorrow. Temperatures. Let's talk about temperatures first as we move into the north central U.S. northern plains. Look at these temperatures in the northern plains, high plains, waking up to the 50s, even some 40s in areas of Nebraska, northeast Colorado, even the northwest corner of Kansas. Very comfortable, kind of early fall-like temperatures. Just really nice. We're getting close to that changing of the seasons time frame, so we're definitely beginning to turn over a new leaf. But it's a process. It always is. But also, I mean, you look at temperatures for the north central U.S. too, guys. It's very nice. I mean, northern Minnesota, an area of the country that I personally would love to live in. I know y'all think I'm crazy, but I think I would be awesome living somewhere where the lakes freeze every winter. But it gets brutally cold up here, I know. But waking up temperatures in the 50s, even some 40s. So chilly. The UP of Michigan, 50s. So we move and look at precipitation today. This surface low will quickly begin to pick up some forward speed, and I think we will just continue to deal with a lot of rain in Wisconsin today. It'll rain a lot in Chicago later on today. Then we'll watch for some storm development in areas of Illinois, Indiana. I think this will just be more consolidated heavy rain in Michigan today. A lot of heavy rain could fall in like Grand Rapids, places like that, Kalamazoo, Lansing, South Bend. A lot of heavy rain could fall. Once we get a little bit further south, though, we could be dealing with some storms. This continues to chug on off, and then I think we could get a lot of rain overnight in areas like Detroit, especially the wee hours of the morning. A little bit closer look at all these regions. As you can tell, a lot of rain. I mean, this takes us to about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's raining like crazy in Chicago, Milwaukee. You got flood watches up in these regions. Rockford, it's raining pretty good. But look at these storms forming deep down in Indiana and Illinois. We'll talk about that here in a second. But look how this rain takes over late this afternoon to this evening. It takes over most of Michigan. It might not make it to northern Michigan. Definitely won't make it to the UP. But it's going to be raining pretty good. Pretty soggy late afternoon, evening, overnight time frame in southern areas of Michigan for sure as the surface low makes its way. Could be just a very, very heavy rain at some point. Some rumbles of thunder is possible. But this spins over. It could dump multiple inches of rain on you guys overnight. In fact, you look at the rainfall, and we'll go on and take it just all the way out to tomorrow midday. I mean, there's going to be a corridor of 2 to 3 inches of rain, maybe around the Milwaukee area, maybe an inch or two of rain in Chicago, 1 to 2 inches of rain in southern Michigan. A lot of rain is going to fall in these regions today for sure. But I really want to watch out for Indiana and Illinois today, especially Indiana. As we make our way into this afternoon, we got to watch these storms down here. I know there's only a marginal risk, but I mean, if you live really anywhere in Indiana, okay, and I could spit out all these names till the cows come home, but really anywhere, especially central to southern Indiana, I'd watch out for these storms right here. Even these storms in northern Kentucky, we already kind of talked about Kentucky, but I think these storms will be rotating. It's just I don't think they're not going to have enough of a ripe atmosphere to really get going thermodynamic-wise. But I'm telling you guys, I think we could get a decent tornado threat in this area. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped the 5%, a slight risk in this area, and you end up getting a 5% risk of a tornado. I wouldn't be surprised one bit. But we'll watch Indiana. I really want to watch for you folks. I know your severe weather threat isn't very high today, but I'd watch out later, early this afternoon, throughout the mid to late afternoon time frame. These storms will move in very quick and then move out very quick. But there will be a time frame in Indiana later this afternoon that we need to watch out for some rotating thunderstorms, a couple tornado warnings. Updraft Felicity Swath, doesn't show a whole lot of anything, but I can tell you the updraft Felicity Swath doesn't always tell the story. I will tell you that right off the dot. But definitely just watch out. Nothing to be concerned about, but definitely don't think that it's just a happy, go lucky day where there's nothing going to be going on. Definitely keep your head on the swivel out there. Today out west, just some showers and storms. Could get a good little bit of rain here in southwest Colorado and right where Arizona and New Mexico connect. Could get a lot of rain on the state border right here and eastern Arizona and then western New Mexico, northern New Mexico could get some rain too today. We could get some rain up here in northern areas of California, maybe even some showers in western Nevada. Outside of that, pretty chill. I do want to do this on the fly and look at you folks in the northwest. These are your projected high temperatures for today. Let's see if we can find it. Here we go. Pretty hot, guys. I'll be honest, I didn't realize it was getting this hot. I mean, you're going for almost 110 degrees in some of these lower elevations of Washington State today. My word. I didn't. Okay, all right, this was for tomorrow. So this is for today, but I mean, tomorrow's still going to happen, right? So this is for today, but I mean, still hot, guys. Well over 100 in areas. I mean, watch out for these towns like Medford, places like that. I mean, it's just going to get brutally hot. I mean, then look at tomorrow's temperatures, even hotter. So, man, guys, just be prepared for this. Chances are, if you live up in this region, you know this is coming. Very hot temperatures. The rest of the country, deep south, well into the 100s in certain areas, upper 90s, very hot up into the Carolinas, Florida. But you see this more stable atmosphere behind this this upper trough. It's bringing in some cooler temperatures, 70s, just some low 80s. It continues to be rather comfortable in the Northeast, but definitely a kind of an early fall air mass up here in the northern portion of the country. And we already talked about the West. It's heating up big time in the Pacific Northwest. And dangerously hot temperatures up here in this portion of the country. Let's give an update really quick on the tropics. And this video is really dragging on. It might just be because I'm talking slower, but you got 2 areas to watch now, guys, from the 2 a.m. update. Let's see if one of these upgrades to the 8 a.m. update. But 20% risk of this to develop in the next 7 days. 20% risk of this. And you're thinking, well, why there's 2 areas? Well, it's very active out here in the monsoon trough. So you got multiple pieces of energy. It's just trying to figure out which one becomes more dominant. And I can tell you the operational models are everywhere. They really are. The latest European, what you're looking at here is 850 millibar vorts. So we look at basically vortices, pieces of energy about a mile up in the atmosphere, rotation. And here it goes. It picks up on this right here, about Friday, and then immediately pushes it out to sea. It does develop this into maybe a tropical cyclone briefly, but that's it. Okay, that's all it does. GFS, latest one, multiple vortices spinning around here, right? It finally finds a dominant one right into here, and we're starting to get into this time next week, but nothing ever really gets going into a time frame that's worth watching. So, I mean, the latest operational runs say, nah, man, nothing's happening. But you look at the European ensemble for 1 week out, and it tells a different story, right? It shows even a signal in the Gulf of Mexico with a stalled frontal boundary that I kind of just talked about. It shows a signal with this first wave with some very strong members getting into the Caribbean. And then it shows a signal with the second or third wave, whatever you want to call it. So the ensemble show a different story, right? So we got to figure this one out, and we will. That's all I got. God bless all y'all. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you again soon. I may or may not have a video tonight. Just depends. I'll try to squeeze one in. God bless all y'all. Have a great day.